大家好，我是 Olive Branch Allen. So I understand that a lot of people who are trying to lose fat, they're going through a really tough time. And it's fighting those hunger pangs when they're trying to be on a diet. It's an extremely difficult task to do. It's like you're trying to climb up a steep, slippery slope. In this video, I'm going to explain to you a little bit about physiology, followed by some tips on how you can eat less without the struggle, as long as you can understand a little bit about how the gut works and what it can do for you. So what is the gut? Well, essentially, it is basically just your small and your large intestines. And it actually is part of your larger gastrointestinal tract, or your GI tract. So this GI tract that just goes through your body is the external world. That's where the food goes in and out. And through this tunnel, there are doors, mini doors like your cells, that can actually access the nutrients that you've eaten and absorb them into your bloodstream that your body can then use. Your gut actually contains over 100 million nerve cells that control it, can actually function independently from the brain. So if you cut it off from the brain and you still provide enough food and stimulation to it in the right context, it can actually completely function normally as if you would expect it to. So part of the nervous system to the gut are these pressure sensors, so it can actually sense tension that's being exerted against it. And it feels this very well. It's very sensitive to it versus like a cut. Versus the hand, which is actually the opposite, where a cut can actually feel very painful versus some pressure doesn't hurt as much. This is why when you've overeaten, you can actually feel a considerable amount of discomfort in the stomach region. So once you've eaten a fair amount of food, your stomach actually stretches. And that stretching signals to the brain through those pressure sensors that you've had enough food, you should stop eating. So the more bodily aware you are, or body quotient, which is also how smart you are about your body, the better you're able to hear the signal from your stomach telling your brain to stop eating. So that's mechanical signaling from your gut to your brain. But your gut can also signal to your brain through chemical hormones and nutrients. So some nutrients can actually tell your brain to stop eating, whereas other nutrients may actually tell you to keep eating more. A couple of nutrients that actually tells your brain to stop eating are fatty acids and amino acids. And that triggers your brain to release a hormone called cholecystokinin and leptin to actually satiate yourself so that you don't want to eat more. Whereas when you're eating more sugar, that blood glucose does trigger your brain still to release insulin to clear out the blood sugar level, but it doesn't actually make you feel full. Different things that you're eating will pass through your GI tract at different speeds. Eating solids, that is a combination of fat, protein, and fiber, will pass through the GI tract at a much slower speed than eating something that's just purely protein, for example. But that will be even better than having a sweetened beverage, for example. That will pass by really quick. One key resident in your gut is bacteria, and there are many different strains of them, and they're all vying for space and resources in your gut. The good types of bacteria are bifidobacterium as well as lactobacillus. These are very common good strain bacteria in your gut. And then the bad ones is Clostridia, which can actually cause cancer. So we can consciously decide to feed our good bacteria by eating fibrous fruits and vegetables, such as lettuce and celery. These foods have insoluble fiber that can only be digested by the bacteria itself. And by feeding them, they'll actually produce short-chain fatty acids that will then power the gut even more. Some bacteria even produces vitamins, such as vitamin K. And so some of these probiotics, which is the bacteria, can actually change your mood and even reduce obesity. So what can you eat to help your gut flora? Well, the best food is always going to be a balanced diet that contains fiber, vitamin C, and fermented foods like yogurt, natto, kimchi, tempeh, sauerkraut. You can also take a probiotic supplement if you don't think your nutritional diet is covering your bases, or if you have regular constipation. And taking probiotics after a round of antibiotics is actually a very good idea, since broad-spectrum antibiotics can decimate your gut flora, and so replenishing your gut flora should be your priority. So that's a lot of information, guys, but if you do have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and I'll see you next time.